All right, everybody. Shalom and welcome to our live broadcast today. And I am honored to welcome Malkah Fleischer to the program. Malkah, shalom and welcome.
Hi, Yishai. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you very much for being with us. And before we get into the hard news, there's all kinds of stuff happening around the country. And today on this on the live stream episode, we will deal with Syria. We will deal with Gaza. We will see lots of folks that know what they're talking about. But before we go to those serious topics, you are an Israeli Jewish woman, but you speak of the English because you come from the United States and even from the heart of the United States, Texas.
Right.
I wanted to ask whether you ate turkey for Thanksgiving and how you justify celebrating that American holiday here in the land of Israel.
So I want to wish all the Americans who are watching a happy Thanksgiving. I think for a lot of Americans, it was an even happier Thanksgiving than other ones, feeling like their country is going in a better direction now with God's help. Isha, you and I, we don't exactly celebrate Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, as you noted, is an American holiday. It is not an Israeli holiday. No, Jews landed on the shores of Haifa to celebrate and turkeys flew in or cranberries floated on the water or something like that. Like none of that stuff happened here. So we don't celebrate Thanksgiving, which is the fourth Thursday or something in November.
Third.
But Thanksgiving is a beautiful family national holiday. It is not associated with any particular religion. It's just a standard American holiday. And I'll talk about myself. Like I have some beautiful memories from Thanksgiving. It's a great time of year, fall. I grew up in Texas. Dallas Cowboys would be playing on TV. Everyone would get up and watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on television. And the concept of being thankful is like a solidly Jewish thought, right? It's a solidly Jewish practice to be thankful and to focus on it. What am I thankful for? And then there's that other factor, which is that Thanksgiving food is probably universally accepted to be the most delicious food of the American calendar year. And so when you put all that together, a lot of Jews around the world and in Israel like to borrow from Thanksgiving, we'll call it, and take the Shabbat that is near Thanksgiving and make the foods of Thanksgiving on that Shabbat and focus on thankfulness. You get together with some friends. Turkeys are ordered. I have a pretty solid stuffing recipe from scratch, if I do say so myself. I had a horrible tragedy. My pecan pie spilled as it was going into the oven, spilling all over the floor, into the oven, into the door of the oven. It was a huge kapara. So we did not have pumpkin pie, as you know, Yishai, and that is my favorite pie of the Thanksgiving pies.
That's right. I understand that.
So there was some mourning that happened, but it's okay. We had still had the apple pie and we got together with friends. So we had, our Jewish Shabbat with its traditional prayers and its traditional songs and challah on the table. And the main dish was turkey and the side dishes were stuffing and green beans and cranberry sauce. And it was fun. It was fun to reminisce back to some of the life that we once had and to incorporate it in a healthy way here in the land of Israel.
All right. I think those are very good points. There's an element of nostalgia, element of culture, element of tastes. I think also there is what my good friend Josh Wander says, which is hakarat hatov, we call it in Hebrew, which is recognition of the good. We grew up in a good America. It let us be proudly Jewish. It let us be proudly Zionist. Today, many of the people that are going to be in the next administration are pro-Jewish, proudly Zionist. And we celebrate that. Moreover, I have to say I am a proud Judean Israeli so-called settler, really resettler, Orthodox, Jewish Torah person. But I went to American law school, and I have always been amazed, enamored, respectful of, and saluting of the American system of government and the ideals inside the United States, especially the one single ideal, which is that government is to be mistrusted. And that is an ideal that almost no other country has. And I respect that. And I think that it's something that is a gift to the world. And I think that those American founding forefathers did something in their thoughts. And to me, that is valuable. I honor it. I saw myself its impact on my life and on the ideas of freedom, ideas of the limitation of the powers of government and police. And I just respected it. I respected the ideas. And when you and I met in law school, one of the things they asked was, why are you in law school? And one of the things I said was, I'm here in law school to get the best ideals of the American legal system and bring it to my country, Israel. Right? Is that true? Did I say that, Malkah?
100%.
Okay. And so to this very day, I still think there are many great things in the American system of government which can be adapted here, changed, adapted, fit more into the Jewish Israeli narrative, but free market, liberties, and the distrust of government and other elements have been something that I've always been impressed with. And so I have no problem to say l'chaim to that good part of America. There's many issues that I have with progressivism and materialism and other things that America.
And even if you had no problems with America, this is not America.
Right.
This is Israel. You could think that America is doing incredibly, incredibly well and still recognize that we have a different trajectory and a different purpose, a different mission. But we have what we have to bring to the world, and no one can bring it for us. But America has brought some concepts to the world that were revolutionary concepts, and those are beautiful and good, and they can be utilized other places in the world.
Let's bring up that comment that was just posted for a second. Says King of Barons, Yishai, I am Turkish. I would sacrifice my life for the Jewish Democratic State of Israel, and I support you Jews with all my power. You are the shining light of the Middle East and the most progressive, in a real sense of progressive. All right, thank you very much for that comment. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
And when I have that Thanksgiving Shabbat with my friends, we are Zionists, pro-Torah, pro-land of Israel Jews, strongly believing in our rights to our land. And we gather together and we talk Torah and we teach our children, and yet we're speaking in that English language that we grew up with, and bring with it some of its cultural, the messages that come with the language, because the medium is the message, including the language, and therefore I was proud to sit with fellow English speakers who made the journey of Aliyah to the land of Israel, and remembered where we came from. And if you think about it, Malkah, we always eat foods of places we came from, right? The Moroccan Jews,
right,
and the Yemenite Jews. And so for the Americans, this is like our thing. And by the way, not just presently, also the Passover meal. It's a Roman style meal. We bring that from the past. We have certain words that we remember from the Greeks and from the Romans and from the Persians. We recall those things. In many ways, we eternalize the great cultures of the past. And so it's a certain honor and a pleasure to bring up that culture of the past. Now, one of the things that America does not so well is that it still houses the UN. Still houses the UN. Mistake. Why is
it a mistake? Why don't you explain?
Because this is one of the most corrupt, most anti-Semitic, practically anti-American organizations that exist in this world. It's corrupt. It's useless. Its building could be used way better. Make it into a hotel on the east side there. And they are strongly pro-jihadist and anti-Israel. And one of its arms is UNIFIL, which is meant to patrol and protect South Lebanon. Here in Israel, we have a comedy troupe called Eretz Nehederet. Okay, and here's a little skit that they did on what UNIFIL is doing out there. I thought, Malkah, we could keep going with a little bit of comedy with our light kind of beginning of the show.
Okay.
Hermoso. I love Lebanon.
Ah, très bien, Lebanon.
The mountains, just like the Pyrenees in España.
No, just like the Alps in France.
La Pyrenees en España.
Alps.
Pyrenees.
Alps!
Pero la puta madre, señor!
Alps! Ami.
Okay.
Let's not fight.
No fight.
After all, we are peacekeepers.
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 Sí.
Keeping the peace.
Amigo.
Excusez-moi, terrorist! You can't be here!
Ah?
You are ruining my painting.
Ah, sorry, I go.
Calma. ¿Un vaso de vino?
Pourquoi non? It's only 11 in the morning, somewhere.
Salud.
Lebanon.
Así me gusta. ¿Pero qué es eso?
Merde! C'est pas possible.
Es una barbaridad.
Pardon.
Hamad.
Pardon, what
Ahmed.
do you think you are doing?
Ah, sorry. It doesn't what it look like. We are building tunnels to attack Israel. You know, اذبح اليهود.
Kill the Jews.
But why so much noise?
Yes. Can't you see? We are trying to keep the peace here. We are peacekeepers.
Peacekeep. هذا UNIFIL. Sorry.
Excuse me, how much time it take to build the peace tunnel?
It will take 20 minutes approximately. يعني 20 minutes roof.
No more than 20 minutes.
I don't trust these Arabs. When they say 20 minutes, it's last 3 hours. You know what I say? I say, let's go for a walk, a nice patrol.
Patrol. I love patrol. We go to patrol. Can you watch the weapons, please?
Gracias.
Yeah, we
Gracias.
patrol.
Yeah.
You weapon.
Gracias.
We patrol.
Gracias.
Yes. هذا مهبول.
Nice patrol, eh?
Nice patrol.
You know, this Lebanon wine is not so bad, but not like the Rioja.
Rioja. Only Sauvignon.
Only Rioja.
Sauvignon.
Rioja!
Sauvignon.
Amigo! Let's not fight, okay? We are peacekeepers.
Peacekeepers.
Hey. What do you think you're doing? What is this?
My son, I take him is very tired. Sleep.
It doesn't look like your son.
Because he looks like as a mother. 16.
Mother.
يلا يا محمد يلا جيب الأرض جيب.
Pero qué es eso? What is going on out here?
أنا رابط.
I am a rabbit.
Rabbit.
يعني أرنب.
That's the Hebrew word for rabbit.
What's up, dog? رطططططا.
يلا يا حبيبي اطلع ربط اطلع برا
يلا يا بابا يلا. أنا ما خسر يحيره.
Amigos, why argue? Make peace.
Yes, we are peacekeepers.
Salud.
Yes, and who will dig? I love peacekeepers. أحلى peacekeepers.
Okay, so that was Malkah Eretz Nehederet making fun of UNIFIL peacekeepers. And the joke is that they're not keeping the peace. They're just looking the other way. And that's exactly what happens when you bring these foreign UN forces who don't give a damn about Israel or its safety. And they're in charge of making sure the terrorists don't take over South Lebanon. And that's exactly what they've allowed to happen. And so the lesson is here.
Or facilitate it to happen.
Yeah, facilitate it to happen. Fine. The lesson is don't let the UN be the person in the entity in charge of keeping Israel's safety and peace and interests. and basically don't give up your sovereignty to anybody else. And certainly make sure you understand that about Gaza. Because, Malka, there's endless conversations about Gaza being better off if it's in the hands of peacekeepers.
Yeah.
UN, EU, UAE, America, Egypt.
Right. Every other country you could list, basically.
Right. And it's like they will not do the job. They will not protect or be peacekeepers. They're not going to do it. It's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Right. But then you have an administration here in Israel that feels that it would be better for anyone to take charge of Gaza than for Israel to take charge of Gaza. What do you think?
I think that we're the only ones who could take charge of Gaza. And I think anybody else will allow it to be corrupt, filled with tunnels, subjugate the people, brainwash the kids, not give them decent health care, not build roads, and just create a muck. You want to see, Malka, what's going on in Gaza?
Yes.
Well, one of our dear friends sent in a video of the situation in Gaza as he sees it. He only had a very short amount of time to record, but here's what he sent us.
Coming to you straight from the heart of Rafah. First of all, short message is that no one here is tired. We know what we're doing, and we just need patience and time to work. We're in a specific place now, looking for tunnels, looking for our brothers and sisters. And if we get enough time, we'll be able to take care of it. The second thing is very important. If we don't stay here, it's just it doesn't make any sense, because you can dig a tunnel in a matter of hours. Everything under us is sand. I don't know if you can see that really well here in the middle of the neighborhood, but you can just dig a few meters a day. Anyway, I'm gonna have to sign off.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta go.
Yeah, he's like, gotta go.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, the message of our friend there is very simple. A, we're here to fight, and B, give us the time that we need to fight, and B, if Israel leaves the control of Gaza, this would have all been for naught.
Which is a terrifying thought. It's a terrifying thought on every level. We've put in too much now to not go farther with it. Trying desperately to reel it all back so that we can rewind and just have this mini quasi state next door, which we evidently don't exactly know what goes on there. The whole idea originally was that Israeli intelligence is so sophisticated and there's such a web of understanding every piece that it's all good, but we have learned very, very well that it's not all good. We do not know what's going on there unless we're there, and that there's no tachlif. What's the word I'm looking for? There's no substitute for having your feet on the ground.
That's right, Malka. And we should be proud to hold on to our land. We should enjoy it.
Right. And how could we possibly bring in some foreign management team to manage this thing?
Yeah. Well, they're peacekeepers.
Yeah, right. And they're going to do a better. They're like the top. They're the best. Well, who's going to do it? The UAE is amazing at governing hostile territories. I don't understand where we think that this is a good idea.
No, it's not a good idea. Malka, I want to welcome all the folks that are commenting. And we also have this thing called Super Chats, which is a great way to support the show and to make sure that I read your comment, doing our best to see all your good comments. And I love that the show is a way for people from around the world to connect. So let us know where you're from around the world. For example, Jackie writes, heart from Australia.
Hi, Jackie.
Shalom, and thank you very much for your heart from Australia. And I've had the great merit to actually visit Australia twice, and so it
I
is a
think
great
you
country.
mention that every time
It's true.
somebody makes a comment from Australia.
You want to hear an interesting thing about visiting other places around the world?
Okay.
People are proud of that. Like I'm proud of that.
Right. Well, Australia is a very special place also.
You know, Rabbi Nachman says, he's like, just like people are proud of where they are from around the world, excuse me, not where they are from, but they're proud of where they visited around the world.
Yeah.
So too, a person should learn every part of Torah, at least visit it, at least touch it, at least get to that place of Torah. And I think that people sometimes don't know the depth of Torah, its breadth, and how really there's so much to visit in Torah. And so we should be zoche, we should have the zchut, we should have the merit to visit all parts of Torah, Malkah.
Right.
Bezrat Hashem.
Amen.
Malkah, a little bit more comedy for you.
Okay.
For this segment. That's right. I you know, part of being Jewish is loving to laugh at all our challenges. And here's a comedian, an Israeli comedian, talking about how Israel is sometimes too nice. Like we had on the one hand, like how we accept this UNIFIL and how really they are completely accepting of terrorists and they're part of it. Here's a comedian complaining about that we're too nice to the bad guys.
Too nice to our enemies, okay? Like in Lebanon, you know that before we bomb a building, we send flyers from the air. And we warn them. We tell them, hey, be careful. We're gonna bomb the building. Hey, be careful. We warn them. Like he doesn't know that he has a missile in the living room, this dude. He thought that this is the router. He doesn't know. He thought that his wife bought a new furniture to the living room. So we warn them. We send flyers. Hey, be careful. You know what is Hakesh Bagad? The Air Force send a little stone on the building and do like... do the knocking on the building, you know? Hey! Who is that? It's the IDF. Be careful. Be careful, enemy. We're gonna kill you, enemy. Be careful, dear enemy. You know? This is the most hilarious knock-knock joke that you can tell Putin. The most hilarious knock-knock joke that Putin will hear in his life. You know? Knock, knock, knock. Who is that? It's the IDF. We're going to kill you. Why you warn them? Just bomb the building. Bomb the building. I don't know why Putin laugh like this. I just imagine him in not having fun at all in his life.
That is so wrong. Putin knows how to have tons of fun. I don't know what you're talking about.
Just like, you know, doing laugh. We're so nice. You think that Putin will send humanitarian trucks to Gaza? Zippy. He would send them one rice, and write on it, F you. But even the flowers that we send is from paper rice.
I think it's rice paper.
Rice paper. It's 2 sides. We send them flyers that they can eat. We are so nice. We do Hakesh Bagad. You think that the terrorist will do Hakesh Bagav to us? You think that the terrorist will warn you before he stabs you? Zippy! You think that you will walk on the street, suddenly a terrorist behind you. And you're like, yes, Allahu Akbar in 3 minutes. That's okay with you? Allahu Akbar 3 minutes from now? But keep walking. You can go out of your clothes, okay? I just want to stab your coat. You know what I mean? You're too nice.
I find that sometimes comedians get to say the things that we all think, but we just don't say them. And so I think that he, in this case, really brought a lot of truth there, which is like we're too nice to the bad guys. Just like the UNIFIL people made fun of, like, who is this UNIFIL? What is this all about? And so, you know, Israel, has got to be tougher against the bad guys, and we need to continue to fight the bad guys, and not with hands tied behind their back. Malkah, lastly, last video for you before you go on to do your other duties. I just want to tell you that one group of people who's not laughing, who takes it seriously, is the Druze. The Druze fighters. I want you to watch 30 seconds of a Druze funeral. Tell me what sticks out here.
الحاضرة 4 تكبيرات فرضا كفاية لله عز وجل مستقبلا الكعبة الشريفة إماما نويت الله أكبر.
What'd you think of that video, Malkah? To me, the
I'm
young
not sure
man's
what you're
name.
looking for me to say. I mean, it's very sad. They
The
had the
young man-
Israeli flag draped on the.
That's it. That's it. Arab-speaking people, Druze, eulogizing their beloved son. His name was Tamer Othman. He fell in battle for Israel, and there they are proudly sporting,
Right.
proudly showing, maybe
The
sporting
flag
is
of
not
their
the right word.
country.
Right.
Right.
And I just think that so many people don't see how powerful that is. How you can definitely be a minority in this country, and see and honor the state that you live in, and honor the Jewish state, respect that Star of David, and just be a loyal, loving resident or citizen of this country. I was just very moved by that video.
I think, Yishai, people really just have no concept of where we are, where Israel is situated. And if anything can illustrate where we're sitting today, it's like the Gaza war didn't get it through to people, and the war with Hezbollah is not managing to, make it sink in for people. It's just, it must be Israel, right? It's like Israel triggers local people. But then you look at what's going on a little bit more northeasterly,
right,
in Syria. Has anyone out there been watching? Viewers, have you been watching what's going on in Syria over the last few days? This rebel group is like, they took over the palace of Bashar Assad. They took over Aleppo. They're taking over homes. I don't know if you wanted to talk about this on this segment of the show, Yishai. If you do, maybe you want to, show the map.
In fact, Malkah, I am just about to say thank you very much to you, and to bring on if you want to stick around with us for a minute, we have a really an expert in northern issues, northern Israel. And if you're interested in sticking around, then you're welcome.
If you want me to, I can, or I can finish up and just say that I think that what's going on in Syria right now really illustrates the grisliness of this area, of this region. The warfare that's happening up there, with beheadings and shootings and hangings and kidnappings, more kidnappings of women. And you look at that and you're like, wow, like the fact that Israel is able to be a society of rights and liberties, relatively, right? Rights and liberties and upward mobility for men, women, opportunities for people, that a relative system of justice. It's like shocking. It's shocking when you come to realize what kind of entities are operating around here and what it is that Israel has to endure.
Absolutely, Malkah. Thank you very much. And I guess maybe that what you just said now is a little bit of that eating of that turkey that we ate. It's just,
right.
It's talking about those rights and those liberties. Malkah Fleischer, thank you so much for joining me here on live broadcast from Israel to the world. God bless you, and thanks so much.
Shalom.
God bless you, Malkah. Toda rabah for being here with me. And really, the issues that are happening right now in the north, in northern Israel, in southern Lebanon, and now into Syria are fascinating and have potential huge repercussions for our region. So our next guest is Lieutenant Colonel of the Reserves, Sarit Zahavi. She's the founder and president of Alma, which is a research and education center focused on northern Israel and what's north of that. She served for 15 years in the Israel Defense Force Intelligence Corps, initially in research and analysis, later with Northern Command. She holds an MA in Middle East Studies from Ben Gurion University in Israel. She held informative, in-depth briefings in D.C. with U.S. senators, representatives, and she's often called upon to give expert testimony and because she is an impactful speaker on security issues facing Israel today. She was also named by the J-Post as one of the top 50 most influential Jews of 2021, and she lives in northern Israel. Sarit, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Sarit, I want to tell you that I heard you speak one time in Manhattan, and I thought to myself, a whole research institute dedicated to the north of Israel? Like, I thought to myself back then, like, that seems like a small slice. Why? What is so specifically fascinating about the north of Israel? But it turns out that you were right. And in fact, I booked you already a week ago, and who knew that today would be the perfect day for you to speak. Help us, Sarit. Help us understand. First thing, what the heck is going on in Syria? Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? Who's fighting who over there? Give us a sense of that, please.
Well, if you're looking for the good guys from an Israeli point of view, I'm not sure you'll find them. And if they are very few. But, I just wrote yesterday on my Twitter account that the sentence, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, doesn't work in the Middle East. And the reason I wrote it, it's exactly to try to explain to everybody what is Syria. Because you have so many players there that each of them have different interests, and they don't necessarily regroup or group together, and they are not necessarily good for us when they fight each other. Now I want to explain. In the civil war in Syria, what eventually was created, it didn't start this way, but what eventually was created was a Shiite-Sunni campaign, Muslims against Muslims. Those who are supported by Iran are the Shiite Muslims against those who are supported by whatever. Sometimes it's Turkey, sometimes it's even Egypt, we saw, sometimes it's Jordan, and sometimes it's just by themselves, like terrorists, jihadists, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. Not necessarily the same, because sometimes Al-Qaeda and ISIS didn't agree upon each other, even though it's basically the same ideology.
Right. So, but those Al-Qaeda, ISIS, those are Sunni
those
fighters.
Are radical Sunni Muslims, and they were fighting the radical Shiite Muslims. Now, the government of Syria was aligned with the Shiite Muslims that were affiliated with Iran. And actually, you saw Iran and Hezbollah back then supporting the government of Syria against the rebels that at first were different, like 100 groups of rebels with different kind of agendas. Today, it's much less than that. They were kind of bordered in northern Syria in an area named Idlib. And most of them were supported by Turkey. We saw two branches here. One named the HTS, which is Hayat Tahrir Sham, which is a branch of Al-Qaeda, which used to be a branch of or the father of ISIS. So either way, they are connected to the Islamic jihadi Sunni ideology. And some of them are what's left of what used to be a branch of the what we call more freedom fighters, okay, of Syria, but the small part.
What do they want? What do those freedom fighters
want?
Some
of them are supported by Turkey that has its own interest. The Turkish interest is first and foremost to minimize the influence of the Kurds along the Syrian Turkish border. Now, the Kurds are an ethnic group, like they are Muslims, but they are, what's matter is their ethnicity, which is very unique to the Middle East, because in many cases in the Middle East, especially in the Arab Middle East, what we see is that religion is more important. But these are not Arabs. They are Kurds. They speak Kurdish. So they are fighting the Arab Syrians, whether they are Sunnis, Shiite, whatever.
Is
So
it
that's
fair to
another
say?
thing.
Is it fair to say that the Kurds have been allies of Jews and of Israel throughout time?
During the years, yes, they have. There were different kind of collaborations, but you know, in the past also Turkey was an ally, and today it's not. Now Turkey deteriorated to a situation that Erdogan, which is the leader of Turkey in the past 20 years, is part of the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's why he found it very easy to support the rebels that will give a contrast to the Kurds. That's his interest in this.
He's anti-Kurdish.
Is completely anti-Kurdish. The reason that Turkey is anti-Kurdish is because the Kurds as an anti-group is divided between 4 countries: Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and Iran. None of these countries is interested that the Kurds will fulfill the ethnic aspirations, which is having Kurdistan, an independent Kurdistan, because it will bite pieces from each of these countries.
I sometimes feel that the Kurds are so like us. They have like all these Arab countries surround them. They have problems with everybody. One time, by the way, I was in Washington, D.C. I was speaking with a Kurdish activist who was in D.C. lobbying for Kurdistan, for an autonomous Kurdistan. So I said to him, we were at a big table with all these fancy people, you know the kind, all these policy people. And I said to him out loud, I said, brother, your problem is obvious. If you want peace, all you have to do is give a part of your land to Iran and you can have peace. And he looked at me straight and then he started laughing and he knew that I was joking. And he realized, this is the absurd doctrine that we hear all the time here, that the way you have peace is by giving your enemies a chunk of your land. And we would both realize how absurd it is. Sometimes it sounds
is that we have an independent state, the Kurds don't.
Right.
Until today. They do have an autonomy in Syria and in Iraq, not in Iran and not in Turkey. So that's the Kurds. Now, if we're trying to understand what happened during the weekend, is that the leftovers of the rebels, mainly the jihadi groups, HDS, but another group as well, supported by Turkey, decided that now it's a good timing after Hezbollah was defeated. Hezbollah was an ally of the regime in oppressing the rebels. So after it was defeated, now it's the best timing to try to push forward and to try again to rebel against Assad. And they succeeded in taking over most of Aleppo. They succeeded in taking over areas belong to the advanced weapon industry in Syria, which this is very important because it means that this industry that used to threaten us as an industry that manufactured weapons for Hezbollah can now manufacture weapons for jihadi groups. So on the one hand, it's good news. On the other hand, I'm not sure it's good news. That's why I've said that the situation is complex. In the short term, for the state of Israel, what is happening now, it's good news because if it will continue, Iran will lose Syria as an asset and the part of the smuggling corridor of weapons from Iran through Iraq into Syria and then to Lebanon. But at the same time, those who are trying to replace Assad, now they've been trying for 15 years, I'm not going to, to tell you that they will succeed. But those who are now trying again are not exactly those who we want to ally with. And that's why I've said the enemy of my enemy is not necessarily my friend here. And we have to follow closely on what's going on.
Well, there was one phrase. We're talking with Lieutenant Colonel in the Reserves, Sarit Zahavi. She's the founder and president of Alma, which is a research center and education center focused on northern Israel and the things happening in the north, Lebanon, Syria. Sarit, you said it a certain way, but I want you to comment on it a little bit more, which is Hezbollah has been at least weakened by the IDF. And so the war, October the 7th, which led to October the 8th, the attack of Hezbollah in Israel, is now having our fight back against them and our weakening of them. You called it destruction. I don't think they've been destroyed totally, but Hezbollah is certainly not the organization that it was, is now having regional implications, even global implications. So it was Israel's fight with Hezbollah, which is changing the face of Syria right now. Is that right?
Again, if it is changing the face of Syria, it's too soon to tell, and I want to be very careful. But I think that the enemies of Hezbollah in Syria view this as a defeat. Now, we as Israelis can argue whether it's a defeat or not enough, we could do more, etc. But in their point of view, there is a huge gap between what Hezbollah promised to be and what it used to be during the civil war in Syria to its performance against the Israelis. And against the Israelis, it's clear that, you know, we were afraid that 3,000 rockets will be launched against Israel every day. I used to say that, and it didn't happen. We were afraid of a Hezbollah invasion with thousands of elite units of Hezbollah. It didn't happen. Now, the reason it didn't happen is because the scenario was different than what we imagined, and it was not a scenario that we were surprised by an invasion like Hamas had done in October 7th. It was a scenario of a war of attrition that enabled us to be prepared and then to initiate our offensive against the Hezbollah small attacks every day, again and again and again. And I'm one of those who suffered from these attacks in the past year. But it gave us, in a way, it gave us, you know, we paid the price. We had 60,000 Israelis that are evacuated, but at the same time, it gave us the opportunity to achieve truly fantastic, I would say fantastic military achievements.
All right, so let me pause you for a second.
About the recovery, but it's fantastic.
Let me pause you for a second, Sarit. Thank you very much. First thing, I just want to tell my producers that let's get a few questions ready for Sarit from the audience. Sarit, you live in northern Israel, and you just stated that 60,000 Israelis have been evacuated from their homes from like salt of the earth towns like Kiryat Shmona and others. Even Tzfat has been, and Haifa have been under attack. Now, people who have been following this, like myself, have been warning for years, and certainly you have been, that that the armament in South Lebanon is going to end up shooting at some point, and that we will be under great attack. So yes, the attack has not been as great because of the military achievements, but at the same time, if the jihad wants to achieve is to shrink Israel, if that's what they want to achieve, to some extent, they have been able so far to do that. Tell me, as a North person, like, are we going to rebuild these towns? Is this going to happen? Are we going to get back to full size? Are we going to get to even a bigger size? Like, where is Israel going to be at the end of this process?
In your opinion? It will be back with, according to the specific question of its size, I hope it will be back to the same size it used to be before October 7th.
Okay.
In all other aspects, I hope it will be different than what it used to be before October 7th. I hope we will be wiser. I hope we will be more united. I hope we will be more dedicated to the connection to the land. I hope we will bring our faith back in agriculture and cultivating the land. I hope we will build the North again. I think that the people of the North want to build the North again. I think that the reason that, as I've said, you saw a war of attrition is that Hezbollah thought it could preserve this huge achievement of evacuation of 60,000 Israelis forever. And eventually the state of Israel made it very clear that it cannot, and we are not going to compromise on that. And we will bring the people back. I agree that due to the arrangement that was just agreed upon, it's a huge problem, and there are big questions around here. And I can tell you that
you're talking about the ceasefire that Prime Minister Netanyahu announced. He swears that it's a limited ceasefire. He swears that if they don't follow the ceasefire, that if they break the ceasefire, that we will attack again. He gives.
This is already happening. This is already happening.
What is already happening? What?
From the first hours of the ceasefire, Hezbollah is violating it, and IDF is attacking Hezbollah, killing Hezbollah military operatives, eliminating rockets, eliminating terrorist infrastructures during the ceasefire. Because the entity that is now enforcing the ceasefire and the ceasefire terms, not only ceasing fire, but also not disarming, is Israel. It's not the Lebanese army. And I don't believe it will be the Lebanese army. And here lies the problem. Like we have a huge dilemma again, I will put it this way, because international community pretty much imposed a ceasefire that will be based on the same principles of the previous one, which is responsibility on the state of Lebanon to enforce the disarmament of Hezbollah. In the
before
government of
be,
Lebanon,
bef-
Hezbollah is a member of the government of
right,
Lebanon. How can
right.
it enforce this kind of a decision? It will never happen.
Before you
And that's
came
why I
on,
don't have
sorry,
any hope that it will happen.
before you came on, we played the Eretz Nehederet skit about Unifil. Did you see that skit?
Yeah.
Okay, it's and it's funny because it's so true. It's like these guys just look away. There are literally Hezbollah firing positions next to Unifil bases because they are nothing but protectors of Hezbollah. By the way, let's just for a second watch President Biden as he announces the ceasefire.
These people deserve a future of security and prosperity. So do the people of Gaza. They too deserve an end to the fighting and displacement. The people of Gaza have been through hell. Their world's absolutely shattered. Far too many civilians in Gaza have suffered, far too much. And Hamas has refused for months and months to negotiate a good faith ceasefire and a hostage deal. And so now Hamas has a choice to make. Their only way out is to release the hostages, including American citizens, which they hold. In the process, bring an end to the fighting, which would make possible a surge of humanitarian relief. Over the coming days, the United States will make another push with Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, Israel, and others to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza. With the hostages released and the end of the war without Hamas in power, that becomes possible.
Okay, so the vision there, he was talking more about Gaza, but he was announcing the ceasefire, a win for the Biden administration from their perspective. Maybe Netanyahu wants to give him a win so that he doesn't lose all the Democrats. Maybe Netanyahu wants our fighters to get a breath and focus more, as he said, on Gaza and on Iran. Maybe he needs rearmament, which is slow in coming. Maybe he's just waiting for the Trump administration. So there are rationales for that ceasefire, but you're saying they're violating it from the get-go. It's really a fraud, a facade. And are we undermining our ability to keep destroying these guys by stopping the fighting?
For now, no. For now, Israel is enforcing it in a very thorough way. The biggest question is what will happen in 60 days. My 11 years old, when I told her, honey, there is a ceasefire for 60 days. You can go to school. She said, okay, what will happen after 60 days? And that's the huge question, because due to the agreement, after 60 days, IDF should pull out of Lebanon. And then who will enforce the resolution? That's the biggest problem. But at the same time, within 60 days, we're going to see a different administration in the White House. And it's a huge question how our enemies are going to look at this new administration in the White House, not only how Israel is going to look at them. A lot of open questions. I don't have any illusions, by the way, that Lebanon will implement the agreement. The Israeli government will have to face the dilemma of how exactly to enforce this kind of an agreement and how to create a situation that on the one hand, we can have normal life, and on the other hand, we don't wait for 18 years and take the risk of another massacre.
Do you believe that Israel should have another, what's it called, a control zone, a demilitarized zone, a security zone, like we did when I was in the army in the 90s and served in Lebanon? Do you believe that is a solution? Do you believe that we should have more military control?
No, and I will tell you why. 2 reasons. First, in last time we tried that, what happened is that we became, with our security strategy, more and more defensive and less offensive. And since in Israel everybody is going to the army, soldiers did defend the civilians, but soldiers were getting killed almost every day. So the feeling in Israel was that it doesn't solve the problem. We are paying a high price with our son. At the same time, the second reason is that I think that the international community will never accept a situation that we are again having a security belt in Lebanon. And I'm sorry, the situation of the state of Israel today is not as it used to be 20 years ago. We want to have international community with us. maybe even just for the reason of dealing with Iran and the nuclear project. We want to have, we want to consider what's happening in the international community. I strongly believe that we can do that, and at the same time, we should take care of our own interests.
Okay, so how do you do it? How do you keep Lebanon safe?
So the balance of that is on the one hand putting a lot of pressure on international community to put the pressure on the state of Lebanon. By the way, it's the same with Hamas. All the pressure was on Israel. Nobody tried to put the pressure on Lebanon.
But you also know that doesn't work. You know that pressure on international pressure on, you know that's not real. It doesn't work that way. It
will work in 60 days.
Okay, good point. Okay, producer team, Yocheved and Rafi, let's see some questions from the audience for Sarit. Let's put those up and see. Okay, so Good Dag says, how committed is Israel to being an ally to a potential friendly Syrian government? Is there a grudge against the people, or does Israeli society and does the Syrian? I don't understand that last part. The bottom line, is there a grudge between Syrians and Israelis on an ethnic, national, religious level? Could there be a Syrian pro-Israel government at some point?
I don't see this happening in the near future. I can't even talk about it. Syria is a failed state. Half of its population was displaced during the civil war.
We're talking like tens of millions of people displaced.
We're talking about 11 million people that became displaced.
Right.
And about 5.5 that became refugees outside of Syria completely. The society of Syria today is that damaged that I don't think their first priority is making peace with Israel. Unfortunately, hate is much more mobilizer than peace, much better mobilizer than peace. So I don't see how this is happening. Syria is too busy in its internal issues.
Gotcha. Next, Trey says, during the ceasefire, does the IDF have troops looking for the hostages? It seems like we never hear about them anymore. Okay, but that's a question about Gaza and not a question for Sarit because she deals with northern stuff. So let's see what else we got. Is it a good time for Syria to take Antioch back? Asking for a friend.
Antioch, I'm sorry. What is that?
Antioch, they mean the great city of where is that? It's an ancient Antioch. Okay, that's not relevant for us today. Let's go on to the next question. What else we got, friends? I heard that the Kurds defending the Arameans in the Aramean quarters in Aleppo. You know, Aleppo is an ancient city, and this week I'll be flying to New York to spend time with my Syrian Jewish friends. Many of them are from Chalab, from Aleppo, and they know the city.
My father is from Damascus.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so tell me about what's going on with the Kurds and the Arameans in Aleppo.
Look, Arameans are also a small minority in Syria. They were hugely damaged in the civil war in Syria. I didn't hear what is just written in this sentence here. I need to check that. But it makes sense, I must say, the two minorities that are persecuted by the radical jihadists in Syria will collaborate.
But really, isn't there more like, and by the way, regarding Antioch, it's a city is known today, it's Antakya in Turkey.
This is, the Syrians call it Iskanderun and the area. And the Turks call it Alexandrata. Well, on the contrary, I think that now the rivalry between Turkey and Syria became sharper than it used to be and deeper than it used to be. So I don't see how.
These are such beautiful and ancient places, and they've turned to such garbage. It's sad. It really is sad. Sometimes when I think about the Middle East, I think about Israel within the Middle East. Sure, I want us to be successful, but when I think about the broader Middle East and its amazing history, and yet it's turned into such junk, and what has turned it all into junk is just one word, which is jihadism. It's many forms of it, but it's just destroyed these societies. It's destroyed these ancient cities.
Radical ideology always brought catastrophe, not only in the Muslim history.
Okay, any other questions? Yocheved writes, what will be the level of security that will make people feel comfortable to go home to North Israel? What about removing Hezbollah with attacks on their bunkers from the air? In short, what's going to make it that Kiryat Shmona is rebuilt again?
We have bombed Hezbollah bunkers from the air constantly in a very limited way between October 8th to September 17, 2024, and in a much more broader way afterwards. Not everything can be bombed from the air. Underground infrastructures, you need boots on the ground to disarm them, and you've seen what IDF to pull out of Lebanon with regard to the weapons of Hezbollah. It was truly overwhelming amount of weapons that were hidden underground or inside the homes, that it was not enough to do it with the airstrikes.
I want everybody to check out the Alma website, Alma Research and Education Center. The website is Israel-Alma.org. What does Alma mean in this case?
Oh, it's a secret. I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh, okay. You see these intelligence people, they just have secrets. They have secrets. But the website has tons of updated information, including the rebel surprise offensive in Syria and updates that are really letting people know what's happening. And I really want to thank Sarit Zahavi, who's really an expert in what's happening in the north and has created for all of us a resource center to learn more about it. And right now, this is the hot topic. And I'm just lucky that you happen to have already committed to being on my show this week. God bless you and keep up the good work. And we really do hope to see the north of Israel repatriated and rebuilt better than before. Big, beautiful Israel, which is really the source of peace in this region. So thank you very much for being with us.
We will, and I invite everybody to come and visit us and visit the north and tour around here. It's the most beautiful area of Israel.
That's right. That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Sarit, for joining us. Keep up the good work out there, informing us. And it is a very dynamic situation in Syria, and it is Israel, and it's actually October the 8th. And Hezbollah's attack on Israel, which has yielded their weakness, and now a reshaping of Syria that's happening right now. Okay, now let's get to the issue of Gaza. How are we going to reshape that Gaza? How are we going to ensure that it doesn't become the den of terrorism that it was before? Will Israel stay in Gaza? Or will it leave in favor of some kind of Mickey Mouse international organization, a type of UNIFIL, an Egypt, a EU, a French group of some kind, some kind of international group to defend it and to make sure it doesn't become jihadist? Will they provide decency of life for the people living there? These are the questions because the Prime Minister of Israel has not enunciated a clear policy for the future of Gaza. The only thing that he said to us is that Hamas is not going to control there anymore. Maybe the PA, maybe a reformed Hamas named Hummus or something like that. Who knows? When I was walking around the Knesset 2 weeks ago, I bumped into this writing, which is you're seeing in reverse right now, but this writing is 5 things that you need to know about this war in order to win. And it's written by Knesset member Amit Halevi, which is really about a plan for the future of Gaza. I got to tell you something. In Israel, having a plan written out is becoming rarer and rarer. Platforms for political parties are becoming rare. So to see a writing, which I've read, and it is an in-depth writing, is a breath of fresh air. You could agree or not agree, but it's thought out. Knesset member Amit Halevi is an Israeli politician currently serving as a member of Likud. He was born in Haifa, yet another North Jew, Israeli, like myself, and was educated at the Yavna High School in Haifa, and later on Merkaz Arav. He served in the 7th Armored Brigade. And then after he graduated from the School of Public Policy at Hebrew University, he established a very powerful type of college, or at least course system, called the Jewish Statesmanship Center, which is really about creating a next generation of nationalists, Zionists, who want to defend the land of Israel, who are not progressive, but are rather concerned with the safety, security, and the growth and the future of the state of Israel. Knesset member Amit Halevi joins us right now. Shalom to you, sir.
Shalom, Yishai. It's great to be here. Thank you for the honor.
I know that you've been very busy just today. Tell me about your day today. What did today look like for you?
Okay, so today actually I had a visit, in the southern borders after I actually managed the subcommittee of our security, foreign affairs, and defense committee. I'm leading the subcommittee that deals with building forces and security concepts. So I started in the committee in a very important discussions about our operational operational programs in our border. One of the lessons of October 7: don't trust what the don't trust what intelligence assumptions, but just make sure that if something is going wrong, you have also the answer. What we didn't have actually in October 7. So that
You
was
mean
the
you mean
first.
have some common sense, even if the intelligence people tell you everything is fine. When you see your enemies preparing for war right in front of your eyes, believe your eyes, right?
Yes, so that's of course the first rule, but more than that, even if you have good intelligence, the defense programs shouldn't lay on the intelligence assumption or intelligence. They must be. They must lay on the abilities on the other side, and in the way that you have, you made a mistake in the appropriation of the other side of the enemy. You still have the good answer, at least in terms of defense, not and not only in terms of offensive, but at least in terms of defense, you must have enough, a strong answer for this, and that's why this is the recent discussions in the committee, in the subcommittee, and afterwards.
So were you in the subcommittee today, or were you in Gaza? Which one?
Oh, subcommittee. I started with the subcommittee in the Knesset. There was a discussion with our Security Council representatives and the IDF representative and the Security Service representative regarding our borders. As you know, we are suffering from the eastern border. It's not from now. I mean, the Iranian regime, as you know, has a huge plan. The name of the plan of the program is actually destruction of Israel. Part of it is actually to promote collapsion of the Jordanian regime, and part of it's also to the smuggling via this border into Judea and Samaria, into Israel.
Wait. You're saying big things that not everybody knows, Knesset member Amita Levi. You're saying that the Iranian regime is dedicated to toppling the Jordanian regime so that they could use that as a front against Israel, and already now are using the pathways through Jordan to sneak weapons into Judea and Samaria, the so-called West Bank, to destabilize Israel, to terrorize Israel.
Exactly. So first of all, let's take a minute in order to talk about the Iranian regime method. I mean, it's not only Jordan. It's it already has been done in Lebanon and in Iraq. I mean, the method is very simple to understand. I mean, they leave the envelope of a state. Let's say they leave the name Lebanon. Let's say there is a democracy named Lebanon. Actually, they use a very teeny minority there. For example, the Shian residents that were in Lebanon. They create a very strong and powerful military force inside the state, and that force become the largest and the strongest power, and it become, this is the important issue here, it actually become the veto player. I mean, it's not only that he's part of for example, Lebanon politics, it's also become the veto. That's why, in Lebanon there is no president, there is no prime minister. It's all because Hezbollah decided that there will not be. So actually, there is a dictatorship in Lebanon. We're not really neighbors of Lebanon. We are neighbors of Iran, because the Iranian regime, by the same thing, by the way, they did in Iraq. Again, they took the minority of the Shian residents there. They promoted and they actually developed all the military power of this resident, and they become what we call the militias, the Iraqi militias. That they are, by the way, the major and the strong part of the Iraqi army. So that's why they actually took over Iraq. So we are in front of a phenomena that you see the Iranian regime actually taking over different countries in the same method. By the way, they did the same thing in Yemen. It just became complicated, and in Syria also. So in Yemen, they just divided and they took only the northern side of Yemen. But this is the method, I mean, like the Nazis regime made in the last century, they did today. And the same thing they definitely plan regard the Jordanian regime, and they make a lot of efforts, especially in the recent 3 or 4 years, in order to to take inside Jordan the powers. By the way, Shian and Sunni, they have a very clever they're succeeding to make the joint forces between the Sunni and the Shian inside Jordan, also with the Hamas, as you know. So this is the method, and it's also part of the threat over Israel.
So Iran is a clever, devious, and smart player. They've managed to take over South Lebanon, maybe Lebanon. They've managed to have great influence in Syria. They have half of Yemen. They have a good portion of Iraq. And you're saying that the next thing to fall and to keep the external envelope of a country, like it will be Jordan. It's as though it's Syria, it's as though it's Lebanon, but it's actually Iranian influence. Before we go on, I just want to say that people can write comments. Please let us know where you're from. Ask your questions. And if you want to support our continuing battle, in this case, we're fighting the narrative war, the narrative battle, then you can also make a super chat. It's a great way to support the show, and it encourages others. And we have really one of the most thoughtful Knesset members here with us. So it's a great opportunity to ask him questions. Knesset member Amita Levy, let's just watch as Michael Bolton, former security cabinet member in the United States, as he talks about what Israel should do with Iran.
Among the many targets Israel should consider, this is the opportunity to destroy Iran's nuclear weapons program. And I hope President Biden is not trying to dissuade Prime Minister Netanyahu from doing that. And if he succeeds, and if at some future point the Ayatollahs are able to pull off what former Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon called a nuclear holocaust, history will know who to blame.
So just to be precise, Ambassador Bolton, you're recommending that Israel launch an airstrike to try to destroy whatever nuclear capabilities the Iranians might have? Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. I think they should go after the nuclear fuel cycle activities that are well known. Their locations are well known. And I think that would be the appropriate target, because right now Iran has demonstrated it is not restrained by any concern about a direct attack on Israeli territory from its attack. It has, by its own admission, fired ballistic and cruise missiles. And the only thing that has saved Israel is this amazing technology. Next time, if the attacks come from a different location containing nuclear warheads, Israel might not be so lucky. This is not time to play academic games and message and signal. This is a question of power. People say they're concerned about a wider war. The wider war began on October the 7th. Israel's response, and there should be a response, should not be proportionate. It should be far stronger, because when deterrence fails, to reestablish it, you have to teach the adversary that any gain they may hope to get by any future attack will be more than outweighed by the damage that will be caused.
So you have there John Bolton, a former national security advisor, former ambassador to the UN. He's telling Israel to strike hard at Iran. You know, we have videos of Pete Hegseth telling us to build a temple in Jerusalem, and we have videos of Mike Huckabee telling us to assert sovereignty over all of Judea and Samaria. We may end up with a much more nationalistic pro-Israel government than our own. That would be a little bit embarrassing. Tell me, Knesset member Amita Levi, let's at least focus on one thing, which is Gaza. You've written this whole booklet.
Hey, one second. Before Gaza, Yishai, with your permission, I want to say something about the very important things, of course, of Mr. Bolton, the former ambassador. I think that the most important thing, more than the rockets, the missiles project, more than the proxies that we have just talked about, Iraq and Lebanon and others, and even more than the nuclear weapon project. The most important project, or the most important goal of the free world in Trump times, should be the root, the source of all of this. And the source is the regime. I mean, the real target, I consider it to be, our generation mission. When we were in schools, and we have been taught about the Nazis regime that did exactly, by the way, same characters, same methods like the Iranian regime. I mean, it had a racist ideology, same thing like we have today. It's not the Aryan race, but it's the Muslim, their radical Muslim school of thoughts. But if you're not Muslim, you can't keep living. You may be maybe second-class human being, but this is the same racist way of thinking. They have totalitarian vision. They want to take over the whole world. Israel is only the first course. It's the whole Middle East, as I've just described you, and then Africa. They are taking over country after country. They have a huge activities and investments in Africa. Same thing, all the terror cells in Europe. And that in the last visit of our Prime Minister in the States, he commented that the demonstrations, as he saw in the intelligence report, in the demonstrations in Washington, D.C., were sponsored by the Iranian regime. So there is not only racist ideology, there is totalitarian vision and barbarian methods. And as I said before, and exactly like the Nazi regime actually did in the 30s of the last century, they are taking over different countries. They are developing, a nuclear weapon. I mean, this is the same.
And American campuses as well.
And exactly, and unfortunately also the European silent is also remind us something. That's why I think that of course these are very important things of Mr. Bolton. But the real goal today for us, it's not only on Israel's shoulders. I mean, it should be we can do it together. We should do it together, and that is to wipe out the Iranian regime. I think this is our main target. All the others are outcomes, are the fruits, the rotten fruits of this regime, and we need to first of all to declare it. I mean, to say it publicly and loudly. The free world cannot accept this regime. It is not a legitimate regime. It should be out of the red lines of the free world. The fact that Iran still a member of the United Nations, it's a shame. The fact that Iran is still, have different relations with different countries that are considered to be, part of the free world, this is a shame. And that, I think, should be the first target of Trump and Netanyahu in the common, in the common period of the following 2 years.
Okay. Now we have a war that has been foisted upon us on October the 7th. We've been fighting that war for 13 months. This is, I think, Israel's longest war. I guess if you don't count the war of attrition after the 6-day war, it's to some extent it's like a war of attrition. It's a hatasha. It's a war that continues for a long time. And I played a video earlier on the show. I'm just going to replay it for you. It's just 1 minute. This is a good buddy of mine from Gaza. He sent it to me today. Okay. And I want you to comment on what he says, please, and how he sees the situation from Gaza.
Coming to you straight from the heart of Rafiah. First of all, short message is that no one here is tired. We know what we're doing, and we just need patience and time to work. We're in a specific place now, looking for tunnels, looking for our brothers and sisters. And if we get enough time, we'll be able to take care of it. The second thing is very important. If we don't stay here, it's just it doesn't make any sense, because you can dig a tunnel in a matter of hours. Everything under us is sand. I don't know if you can see that really well here in the middle of the neighborhood, but you can just dig a few meters a day. Anyway, I'm gonna have to sign off.
So my friend there is saying Israel's got to stay in Gaza, and if we don't stay in Gaza, then we would have just done it for nothing, because they're just going to rebuild. Are we going to continue this process of mowing the lawn, or is something different going to come at the end of this thing?
Okay, so I think it's already too long. I mean, 13 months are too much, not only for us, but too much in relatively to the mission. I mean, it should be much easier and much shorter. And the point is not only to stay there; the point is to control there. I mean, I think the key of success in terms of in this matter of Gaza war should be control. And unfortunately, the Jewish people, and even that we are after 76 independence years, still we have some difficulties to say we are controlling this area. Now, if we don't control this area, so every bag of cement will become a tunnel, as your friend said. Every kilogram of metal will come rockets and other things. I mean, it's obvious, because this population are actually it's under more than 70 years of hard indoctrination of the radical Muslims. I mean, in order to win, if you want to win, you must take over, you must control the space of Gaza. Otherwise, you can kill 100 terrorists in one hand, and in the other hand, you actually allow 200 to get in the educational radical system, and they will grow to be a terrorist. Or in the other side, you give the Hamas to give the food or the energy, I mean the oil or the food or the water, and in that way he actually recruits, the Hamas organization recruits new soldiers from the families, from the Hamulot there. So it's it's a closed circle. If you want to win, you must control. There is no victory without control. And what we are doing since October 27, I'm saying it unfortunately, and I as you show before in this booklet, in this notebook, actually these are things that I've said since October 8 in the Foreign Affairs and Security and Defense Committee. We're actually doing special operations, or a very specific operation at specific points. It's not enough. I mean, this is not a real war. A war means that you control the area. And if you need, take for example what happened in Jabalia now. I mean, we actually let the people of Jabalia move to the humanitarian area. Yes, in Gaza, never mind. They went to Gaza. We asked them to go to the southern of Netzarim Road of Gaza, but they are in Gaza. Never mind. More than 70,000 people left Jabalia. Okay, so whoever stayed in Jabalia, he's enemy from now on. I mean, according to the international law, from the first place, you
ask the civilians to leave, and whoever remains there is a terrorist. He's willing to fight Israel. Okay.
So more than that, according to the international law, you can make effective siege. Also, or if although the citizens are still there, if you have a fear that the aid is coming to your enemy. So you can make a siege also. But let's say that our legal advisors and others actually forced us, or political, international pressure caused us to to give this humanitarian option to everybody that wants to go to other areas. Fine. After you did it, everybody, the state, as you said, should be defined as terrorist, and we should treat him as terrorist. So since all the Jabalia's residents moved, we need to actually to implement an effective siege, means to bomb the electricity sources, the oil, the solaric system, the hungers of the storages of the food and water. And believe me, Yishai, it will take 1 week or 2 weeks. All of them will get out from the tunnels. If you don't have oil, you don't have electricity, you can't be 5 minutes in the tunnels, not 10 meters in the underground or 80 meters underground. So they will, all of them will get out exhausted, and again, I think the target
with
should
their hands up and ready to give up.
Exactly, and this is, by the way, should be the definition of any war. I mean, or they give up, or they are dead. I mean, there's no other meanings of defeat, of victory. And unfortunately, and really unfortunately, I mean, in the high-ranking officers of the IDF and also in the different other systems, I mean, these simple terms are not clear enough, and that's why we are for more than 13 months actually doing, as I said before, a specific operations here and there. And what we are not doing is a war, a real war. And the real war was, a long time ago, should create these effective sieges over the different areas. And tomorrow morning, we have a very important conference in the Knesset. Yes, in 12 o'clock, together with high-ranking officers in the reserves of the army and other legal advisors like Liron Livman and others. That actually we're doing this conference in order to explain the public and the decision makers. There will be many Knesset members that the next stage, the next step, in order to have a victory is this. I mean, to make effective siege, and without, by the way, entering one soldier inside. What we are doing, like you saw in your friend film, that they are going into the tunnels, into all the urban area. This is unnecessary. It's unnecessary, Yishai. We need to.
You're saying stop the fuel, stop the electricity, stop the humanitarian aid, at least into the cities, to keep it only in the humanitarian section, and dry them out, starve them out, break the whole tunnel system, and it's easy to do.
What do you do in war if not this? I mean, what war is about? I mean, if you're not doing these simple steps.
Let's watch a short video. This is less than 50 seconds of some of the most important voices of Arabs in Gaza. This was brought to us by Ohad Chemo, and an amazing journalist who went down and just gave us the voices of the Gazan people.
والله لا أشوف حماس لا أقتله. والله فرحت لما قتلتوا السنوار اللي دمر وقتل أطفالنا. والله العظيم زغرتت، والله العظيم زغرتت. الحمد لله، إن شاء الله بتمحوهم، إن شاء الله بتمحوهم. ضلكوا وراهم لغاية ما تقتلوهم.
With the help of God, you'll destroy Hamas.
دمروها عروسهم. يا رب تلقاهم القصر 15 من اليهود. اليهود أحسن.
الله ونعم الوكيل.
هذه النكبة. الله.
May God take revenge on Hamas. I hope the Jews kill them.
اليهود. اليهود أحسن منهم. اليهود بعطونا أكل، بعطونا الدنيا، وبيعملوا الدنيا، وبيعطونا الطريق بأمنه. وإيش يفضح أرضهم اليهود الحماس. حرام عليك.
Within this video, and not in the part that I just showed, is also Gazans saying, please, Israel, take control of this area. Be the sovereign here. The thing is, Knesset member Amit Levi, here's my question to you. When you talk to average Israelis, there's a phrase that they say, which is, אנחנו לא רוצים לשלוט בעם אחר. We don't want to rule another people. It's a mantra. I always say, why not? All powers rule other peoples. From America to Turkey to any power in the world, Russia certainly, you rule other peoples. If you want to be a sovereign in your land, you have minorities, you have to rule them. But there's this mantra, this kind of simplistic mantra that people say. And I've heard you say how to fight a proper war. Okay, let's find a proper word. But my question to you is, what's your vision for the day after? I get it. You're right. I think you're right. Got to fight a more robust, clear war to win with victory. But what's your vision for the day after? Are we going to rule on other people or not?
Okay, I think that we don't need in this case to rule in other people, because there is not really in other people. I mean, we shouldn't get used to this Palestinian lie. You know, it began with the Adrianus Caesar lie about the name of the land, that he called it Palestine, which was invention in order to, you know, to whip Israel out of the map after the rebellions of Bar Kokhba and the rebellion in the 70s. So he was very angry. So although in his, by the way, in Rome there was the coin Judea Capta, but here he gave the name of Palestine to Judea. But as we all know,
there is a different ethnic group there. It's an Arab group. I'm not saying it's Palestine. I'm just asking you, do you want to really?
No, I think you need to make the distinction between the status of the land, and this is our homeland. This is our national land. Gaza, exactly like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and Gamla and Bethel and Shiloh and Hebron. All of them are part of our homeland, from the river to the sea, as they used to say. So from the river to the sea, Israel should be free. I mean, this is our homeland. And the status of the residents, I mean, this is a different issue. There is no Palestinian people. When you said to rule on over other different peoples, what I'm saying, there's no people with a capital letter. Yes, I mean, there's no Palestinian people, exactly like there's no Palestinian land. This is Israel land. And we know exactly, by the way, that since 1830 to 1948, more than 1 million documented, by the way, 1 million documented Arabs came to the land of Israel. By the way, they were work immigrants, like in many other places in the world, because
they were economic migrants.
So exactly. So this is our land, and there is no other people here. There are Arabs. Right.
All right. That's good. I you know, but there's still Arabs. And in Judea and Samaria, there's 2 million Arabs. Maybe in Israel, there's 2 million Arabs. In Gaza, there's, I don't know, maybe 2 million Arabs.
1.5. Yes.
Okay, 1.5.
So the maximum that Israel can let those communities. The maximum is the municipality managing, exactly, by the way, as it was in 1968.
The maximum. What do you mean? The maximum self-rule that they could have? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, the maximum self-rule is actually managing the municipality
local
issues,
government,
but the local and municipal cities and communities, but never ever to have a national regime or a national authority, because as we know, this it has only one meaning: destruction of Israel. There's nothing in the national authority, either in Hamas, of course, and also in the Palestinian Authority. There is nothing but the destruction of Israel, and that's why this is impossible. And I think the major sin of before October 7 was the disengagement, and that's why, if you ask me what the day after, it should be engagement, not disengagement,
re-engagement.
Re-engagement, exactly, because the formula or the thought that we can create a close or a black boxes in Eretz Israel, in the land of Israel, just to build a wall and to say to ourselves this, to sell to ourselves this illusion that behind the wall somebody will take care. Yitzhak Rabin used to say "Bli Bagatz ve Bli B'Selem," without the Supreme Court, without the human rights organizations, it didn't work, and it will not work. I mean, we need to take over. Not only there is no real operational military, there is no military operation without control. There's no day after without controlling, because otherwise, as I said before, every bag of cement will become a terror tunnel. this is very simple. We need to be in charge of every booklet, of every book. You can see what happened in Ramallah.
What is the status in your mind of small p peoples who are not of our ethnic group that are in Gaza? In other words, what's the status of the Gazans? By the way, I might agree with you that there's no historical Palestine or Palestinian people, but there is a group that's conglomerated today into this team that they call Palestine. I call it Team Palestine. I mean, there is a group of people just like soccer fans. They are now a group of people who have this as their flag, their soccer flag. Okay, what do you want to do with them?
Yishai, there is no. You can make many. In the postmodern world, you can create groups and to give them names. It doesn't make them true. The truth is that there are residents, there are people, as you said, 1.5 million, and also in Judah and Samaria, and we don't want. They are here. Of course, we should enable them to immigrate if they want. The current status that actually we don't let them go. This is impossible, of course, and I hope it will be changed in the following weeks. But
voluntary immigration should be.
Yes, voluntary immigration, of course, and we don't need to make a siege in terms of not to let them go. But besides the voluntary immigration, again, I said everybody that lives here can live here. It's a complicated issue. It's not, we're not the first place in the world like, Puerto Rico. They don't have the vote to the presidential or to the president or to the Congress. I mean, it is a complicated situation. In this complicated situation, the maximum that we can give is, as I said before, only local managing of the communities. And not more than that. We can't allow ourselves to give them to vote to the Knesset or to the parliament or something like that. But I must tell you, for many of them, part of them you saw now in the video of Ohad Chemo, they preferred to be under the Israeli regime than to be under the Hamas
Absolutely,
regime.
and that's why, Knesset member Amit Alevi, we have a word for that. It's called residency, toshvut. The Torah calls it ger toshav, resident alien. You're toshav. Arabs say to me all the time in Hebron. They say to me all the time. They're like, "Give me toshvut, give me residency. That's what I want." I know that you're afraid to give me citizenship so that I may sway your country away from being a Jewish state, but I want your protections. I want your Bill of Rights. So give me residency. Give me toshvut.
Yeah. So honestly, I'm not sure that we can give toshavut like we gave to the Eastern Jerusalem residents. I'm not sure that we can give in this this scale of, as you said, are 1.5 million in Judah, in Gaza, and the same in Judea, Samaria, maybe a little more. So I'm not sure we can give residency now, but we need to think about this problem like 25 years process. It's not tomorrow morning. But the basic rule should be as it was declared in the Balfour Declaration. I mean, the distinction between the status of the land and national rights and individual rights. These are two different things. National rights between the river to the sea, there is only to the Jewish people. There is no other nation that has any rights in this biblical land. This is only our biblical and historical rights. And there are individuals, and there are different options. As you said, it's going to be residency, it's going to be local municipality rights in the first stage. But still, it will be much better than what we did to ourselves and to them by this Hamas or Palestinian Authority regimes.
All right, let's see if the audience has some questions for Knesset member Amit Alevi. One comment that we saw posted a few minutes ago is that you are saying things without mincing words. We had a mutual, we could call him friend, but basically a German reporter that was in your office. Later on, I met him again. He said to me, Amit Alevi, he's very hard line. I said, hard line? I should definitely have him on the show then. But I mean, what's hard line? Hard line means to stop making mistakes that cost lives and that give us a policy that doesn't give answers. Okay, producer team, do you guys have questions for Amita Levi? Let's see what you got. Okay, Thomas writes, if Israel is not willing to rule over people of Gaza and the people who are desiring to be ruled by you after the war is over, then why is Israel fighting the war? If you're not willing to rule these people and to govern there and to be the sovereign there, why are you fighting the war? Well, the old way.
I said, Thomas, I said that we should be the rulers, but I just comment that what Yishai said, that this is not ruling on over other people in terms of nation, because there is no Palestinian nation. This invention was invented actually in the 50s of the last century, after Yasser Arafat, after the state of Israel was established, and Yasser Arafat and other murderers understood that in order to have a serious debate or fight against us, so they need not only to, it's not enough that, Adrianus Caesar called this land Palestine, they need also to have Palestinian people. So they took the Arabs that were here as residents. And as I said, Balfour Declaration, San Remo Mandat never gave them a national status. They said, keep their, and by the way, it was not only in the West Bank, it's also, as you know, the Balfour Declaration and Weizmann-Faisal map, Weizmann-Faisal agreement actually related to the two sides of the Jordan as the Jewish homeland.
Right.
So
the Transjordan was to be Israel.
Yes. So this difference between the residents and our national rights, and the fact that there are Arabs that actually were work immigrants, as I said, that came here for more than 100 years, and the Ottoman Empire and the British Empire gave them to get in actually inside the land of Israel. It doesn't make them a nation. So I am totally support in Israel ruling over Gaza. I mean, it must be at least military control of our forces in order to make sure that we are making their de-radicalization. I mean,
wait, and you're saying military, but what about resettlement? Yes or no for resettlement?
The answer is that should be considered definitely as part of the re-engagement. What I'm saying, settlement, it's not that Yishai Fleischer and Amita Levi will come and will establish their settlement. It should be a governmental program as part of the re-engagement of Gaza Strip into the state of Israel. This is the real target, and I think again, you need to repair the sin, and the sin was disengagement. We can't allow ourselves again, the same disengagement with different colors or different covers. So
let's see. Sandra writes. She writes, question: how do you want to deal with people in Gaza who possibly want to get rid of Hamas, but still want to kill all the Jews? This was a result of a recent poll. Not sure which one. Can't find it now. But the point is, she saw some poll. I didn't see it. That says that there's Gazans who might be anti-Hamas, but they're still also anti-Israel. Sounds a little bit like Syria up there, yeah.
Yes. The answer, Sandra, we are not. We will not accept nothing but de-radicalization. That's why I said before, it will not be enough for the region to just to make demilitarization and to take the weapons and what we're doing now in Gaza Strip, all the operations. We must gear toward de-radicalization, means this population. And by the way, we have two good examples in the history and two bad examples. Two good examples is Japan and Germany, and two bad examples are Iraq and Afghanistan. And when I talk with Americans, they know exactly what we're talking about. I mean, Japan and in German, the American and the British Empire and the free world forces actually enforced the society to went through a serious de-radicalization process. I mean, the administration, the education, everything, all the civic system had was moved and have a fundamental change in terms of its values. And otherwise, today we were with Japan, a cruel. We could be in a different status. Same thing like German, and this is the same thing we need to. But what we didn't do, actually, what the Americans didn't do in Iraq and in Afghanistan, I mean, there was like something, to take over, but not to take over, to fill in, but to be without. It's not. It's something that can't work. That's why we need in Gaza to make exactly like we did in Japan and in Germany, to have to take over and to make sure that the society will have a fundamental change there.
Very good. I know, by the way, Knesset member Mita Levi, that your time is limited, so I'm going to take 5 more. Is 5 more minutes okay? You have 5 more minutes for us? No more than that. And thank you very much. I know that you shifted a lot to be with us today, and we thank you. There was a question just now that I saw about the hostages. Can we bring that up again, please? I saw a question that you guys posted about the hostages. The question was, what about the hostages? How do we get them out? You know, Knesset member Amita Levi, it has been proven without a shadow of a doubt that Hamas and Iran want to push the hostage issue in order to weaken this government, the Likud-led government, of which you are a Knesset member, that's your party, with the party head Benjamin Netanyahu. And still, on the Jewish human level, we want to get them out. But at the same time, we don't want to see our soldiers get killed. And what can be done for the hostages, in your opinion? And especially now that we saw another released video of a hostage and the hard conditions that he's under.
Look, I think that first of all, there's no doubt that we have a very deep obligation to these people that were actually, they were stolen from their beds and were citizens, and it's our duty and first duty in my eyes. But I think that the only way to bring them back, the only way, not one of different options. The only way is to actually have a very strong military military operations. Again, not specific operations, but to make this war a real war against Hamas, because Hamas today has no justification to make a deal, because in his eyes it's not a deal, it's not a Western deal. For his side, this is Hudna, and Hudna, even the religious justification, but even just every kid understand that if Hamas is actually takes over the population today, gets all the humanitarian aid, actually control the oil, so he controls the electricity and everything. He recruits soldiers from the population. There is not really justifications for the Hamas to make Hudna, to make a break.
A Hudna is a kind of Muslim ceasefire where you just get ready for the next round until you could get re-strengthened.
Yes, and this is the only excuse. To get to re-strengthen your powers, because otherwise he has no, again, also religious justification, but also from his perspective, these hostages are not human beings in his state of mind. He treats them like a weapon, and he will not volunteer to give you this weapon. Yes, he needs a reason, and you need to create the reason. And I told the families of the hostages from day one. The reason, the only reason, by the way, that there was the first deal was because Sinwar thought that the IDF is actually, progressing over Gaza from the north to the south, and he thought maybe he will means to take over Gaza. So he said we must make a stop, we must take the break, and that's why he did it. Now we must return to this type of actions of war activities. Not to make a specific operation, but to take over the land, to use the land, and to tell them very clear, like we did in Jabalia in the recent weeks, we are going to do in Gaza. Yes, to move everyone to the humanitarian area and to take over Gaza City. And the same thing afterwards with Khan Yunis. And this is the only way also for the hostages, because when Hamas will, when they understand that this is our goal, I think they will rethink, and there is an option that they will get. It's a shame, for us that 2 minutes from Ashkelon, we have 101 people. It's horrible. It's unbelievable. And I think it's only because we are not doing a real war. And when we start doing it, I'm sure also the Hamas, you can see the outcomes also relates to the hostages issue.
Knesset member Amita Levi, you're a Likud member. You're also the founder of the Jewish Statesmanship Center, and I was very impressed the fact that you took the time to write out this booklet of giving us a real sense forward. You can agree or disagree, but at least it's on paper and it's thought out, and that's a wonderful, refreshing attitude. And writes Aaron Applebaum, it's so refreshing to hear raw, unfiltered truth. We appreciate your time with us, and may Israel indeed fight the war in strength.
There's also English version, so I will send it to you, and I hope your viewers will have the time to see it.
Knesset member Amita Levi, thank you very much. Full of common sense, writes Margaret. Toda rabah. Thank you very much for being with us. All right, folks, that was a lot of fun. So we had Malkah Fleischer on. We did some comedy, and then we had Sarit Zahavi with teaching us about the north of Israel and what's happening in Syria. And then we had Knesset member Amita Levi giving a hardline approach to how to deal with Gaza, but I think one that makes sense. Being wishy-washy does not make sense. Now, if you will permit me, the first thing I want you to write before we go on, thank you very much for your super chats. Your super chats make a big difference. Thank you for your comments. Please write in the comment section where you're from, because towards the end of the show, which is just in a few minutes, we'll show all the places that you're from, because one of the magics of this medium is that we're connecting to the world to Israel, and so that therefore Israel is fulfilling a biblical prophecy of being a light to the nations. So please write to us where you're from. It's a lot of fun also. But if you will permit me, since it is my show, just to give a little rant, okay? Little Yishai rant time. Here's the rant. About a year ago, I was in Brooklyn, New York, and I met a Jew there, an Orthodox Jew, a God-fearing, Torah-believing Orthodox Jew. And he told me, I'm soon leaving Brooklyn and moving to Cleveland, Ohio. So I said to him, my dear brother, why are you moving to Cleveland, Ohio? I've been to Cleveland, very, very nice place. Why are you moving to Cleveland? He said to me, well, I decided that I had to leave New York. The taxes were too high. I didn't like the politics. It was hard to get my kids into schools, property taxes, and the weather, the snow. I just wanted to move to Florida. I was like, where should I go? And then I decided I should move to Florida so I could have all things better than, better weather and better taxes. And I looked around in Florida, and yet I couldn't find a home for myself because all the schools were filled. The houses became too expensive. All the Jews moved out of New York to Florida, and there was just no room in Florida. So then I looked around. I asked God, where do you want me to be? And he looked around, and I found Cleveland. And in Cleveland, I found for myself a community and a home and an opportunity. And so I'm moving to Cleveland. Now, I respect Cleveland. So what I'm about to say is nothing to diss Florida or Cleveland at all. So please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. But when an Orthodox, God-fearing, God-believing, Torah-believing Jew is willing to move out of New York, and he looks up to heaven, because that's what we do. We ask God what to do. And you say, God Almighty, where do you want me in this time? Where can I go? Where, Hashem? Where do you want me to go right now? Give me a sign. Where should I go? Could it be that maybe the God of Israel is saying to you, hey, if you're already willing to consider leaving, why don't you consider the Holy Land, like Abraham and like the prophets and like King David? Why don't you come be part of my big project? I'm not dissing Cleveland, Florida, or New York, but there's a big project happening here. It's exciting. It's organic. You get to speak the Hebrew language, the language of the Torah. You get to raise your children strong in the good land. You get to breathe the air of the land of Israel, and you get to go to Yerushalayim, the dream of 2,000 years. You'll be part of reestablishing Yerushalayim. You could do that in our time. It is the greatest gift of our time. And so in my mind's eye, I'm making fun of this Jew who's like, oh God, where could you possibly want me? Florida? There's no room in Florida. Where else? I don't know. Oh, Cleveland. Again, I have good friends in Cleveland, and God bless Cleveland, and God bless the Jews of Cleveland. I'm not dissing them. But if you're already going to leave, let the Holy Land compete in your mind. Let it compete with Florida and Cleveland. It's calling your name. We're in gathering the exiles here. We're rebuilding Yerushalayim. We're fighting wars. And yeah, there are challenges, but like, open your eyes and see the call of our time. And similar to this is it seems different, but it's the same. We left Gaza. People like myself went down to Gaza and said, don't leave Gaza. It's our land. And if we leave Gaza, it'll become a terror state, and there'll be tunnels, and there'll be kites, and there'll be rockets. Don't leave Gaza. It's a mistake. And then not only did we leave Gaza, but we allowed Hamas to take over. Then we allowed them to have many rounds of rocket lobbying against us, shooting rockets against us and missiles. And then October 7th came because we allowed them for 17 years to completely take over that land and turn it into a jihadist base, a forward base against us. Now we're fighting an October 7th war, and we're destroying the houses, and we're dealing with all this stuff, and we're blowing up these tunnels, and we're trying to get rid of Hamas. And comes Prime Minister Netanyahu, and he says, at the end of this war, Hamas will not rule. But who will rule? Who will rule? And here comes the Jew again, and he's like, who, please, God, give me a sign. Who can govern this land for us? Could it be the EU? Maybe the UN, like a UNIFIL or one of these UN organizations, a UGA, United Nations Gaza or something. Maybe it'll be Egypt. It's true that they're anti-Semitic and they allowed all these rockets to come in through the Sinai, but maybe they could rule it. Maybe it's some kind of multinational Arab country. Maybe it's Saudi Arabia. Maybe it's the UAE. Maybe it's France or Spain or some kind of Euro conglomeration. Maybe it's the United States. Who, Lord, can rule this chunk of land that's right in our land? And when it's not part of our land, it looks like a guy with a missing tooth because it's like, there's the land. Oh, there's a cutout. But who could it possibly be that will rule this land? I don't know. Give me a sign. Oh, Samson was here. It's true. And yeah, we did rule until 2005 and things were much better. But who could possibly control this land? And it's amazing to me that we cannot come to the simple conclusion. Nobody is going to do it for us. Nobody's going to do it for us. Nobody's going to control this land. And nobody's going to make sure it doesn't become jihadist. God says to you, it's your land. History says it's your land. Logic dictates you have to rule here. Logic dictates we're the only ones who can deal with the jihad and subdue it. It's a little sandbox. Control the darn sandbox. It's your land. Own it, baby. Own it. And sometimes it just amazes me how it's hard for us to contemplate the simplest things. It's right before your eyes. Nobody is going to do it for us. And Trump is not going to do it for us. Nobody's going to solve our problems. We just have to man up, big up, state up, like the Jewish state up, and just like get in there and take care of business and control your land for the benefit of all the people living there, for the benefit of all the people living there, and for the benefit of all the peoples in this region who want the end of jihadism. It's just that simple. It's right before your eyes. Logic, history, God, they tell you the same things. Stop looking away. Stop missing the point. Stop doing dumb things. Just own it. Literally and figuratively, just own it. Okay, that is my little rant about, I don't know, about realizing that we are at a point in time where it's time to own the land and be Israel. Be Israel in the land of Israel. All right, folks, I want to hear from you all the time, and I just want to give you ways to connect to us. So first thing I want to say that my email is yishai@yishaifleischer.com. You can email me. I'll do my best to answer. And if not, somebody from my team will try to get back to you. And I love your emails, and they give me a lot of strength, especially the positive ones. Negative ones are also okay. Yishai at YishaiFleischer.com. Second thing is that we are approaching 200,000 subscribers. That means 200,000 people around the world who are part of this effort to bring the light and the strength of Israel out to the world. That's awesome. If you want to help me get over the hump, we're getting close, then help your friends, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and be part of it. Our show is supported by viewers like you. And so therefore, check out buymeacoffee.com/Yishai for support of this show and our narrative battle around the world. Buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. And for bigger donations to strengthen our fight for Israel and to be a Fight for Israel warrior, go to fightforisrael.org. There are so many projects and ways to support our battle to fight for Israel. When you fight for Israel, you can go to sleep at night knowing I am a fighter for Israel. So those are all great opportunities. Very finally, if you love the land of Israel and you love the Bible, you'll certainly love the Tomb of the Patriarchs and Matriarchs, which is found at Hebron. That's where I work. That's my day job. Hebronfund.org is a way to learn about it and connect to the mamas and the papas who are buried in Hebron: Abraham and Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, and Leah, maybe even Adam and Eve, according to Jewish tradition. So those are great ways to go big and go home. That's exactly what we're doing here from the land of Israel. Now it's time for me to get a sense of where you're from. And here's Kia Ora from New Zealand. My family and I will always stand with Israel. God bless Israel. The Light Life says, excellent stream. Toda Rabah. Thank you very much for giving us that opportunity. Shot says he's from Raleigh, North Carolina. Great state. Zohar says, I am in Maryland, USA. God bless you. Thank you so much for being with us. Ron says that he is from Charleston, South Carolina. Do you know the person from North Carolina? Yocheved says, hi, everybody. Blessing from Chicago. Thank you, Yocheved. Thank you very much for your blessing. Shalom from Germany. Am Yisrael Chai, says Daylight. Thank you, our good friends in Germany. May we have a strong Germany, and we have a strong UK, like John Knox from the UK. Shalom. Thank you very much. And another person, David Good from UK, England. Okay, God bless the folks in the UK. Bernard is from Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you very much for being with us. And we have from Washington State in the USA, Blue Lazaru. Thank you very much. Lily says that she's from France. Kol hakavod. Let's strengthen that country and nationalism and Bible consciousness there. We have from York, England, lots of Brits today. Okay, God bless you guys. I heard there's a lot of flooding, so let's keep people safe there. Who else is out there? Who else is around there from the world? Missouri, great. From Shauna. From Serbia, a place that I've always wanted to visit, actually. Best regards from Germany, another person from the good land of Germany. And from Ireland, not everybody in Ireland is anti-Israel, like Victor, who is pro-Israel, and Steve from San Diego, California, USA. Very good. And from Pakistan, we got viewers in Pakistan. Who knows, from Karachi or from who knows where. Awesome. Okay, we have awesome, and there's pro-Israel people all over the world, including in the Arab and Muslim world. Asher says, I'm a Jew in Houston, Texas. All right, Texan Jews are strong. And Eva says, hello from Sweden. And I just met a new Swedish Jew just on Shabbat. And Deborah says, God bless Israel from Australia. Yofi. And from Patagonia, Argentina. Very good. Albir says, or Albir. Very good. And from New Zealand, Auckland. All right, says Richard and Michelle. Life Adventure. Very good. Beautiful place. Vermont. What's ISA? USA. I think it's in the USA. So Rob from Vermont. Thank you, Rob. Who else? From Mars. That may be a first, and I didn't know about that. Although I did see The Martian, and that guy got stuck there. From Bavaria, another folk from Germany, from Norway, from Scandinavia. Is this amazing? From Sweden, the Scandinavian folks are coming out strong. Isn't that amazing? From the UK here, shalom. We have a lot of UK fans today. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. A lot of folks from UK. From Berlin, Germany again. Wow, we got strong Germany, strong UK, few Aussies, a few Swedes. From the Bahamas. All right. I just heard Sting and another musician sing, I'm a Jamaican in New York. That's right. It's the Bahamas. Okay. From Hampshire, Southampton. Wonderful. Blessings to Israel. Is it safe for Israel? It is safe. We are strong. From Belgium. folks holding out strong in Belgium. And there are people really all over the world. What a beautiful medium this is. What a beautiful medium it is to be able to connect to you wherever you are around the world. All right, from Cape Town, South Africa. God bless you, Viva. From Canadistan, Toronto. Ooh, a little pun there. Brenda from Barcelona, Spain. Thank you, Brenda. From Taiwan, our brothers in Taiwan, keeping it strong out there. We're both little islands. We're both, they're a physical island. We're an island of peoplehood here, keeping it strong. From Nigeria, you and Malkah should visit us. That is the truth. And with the help of Hashem, I'll visit Nigeria one day. I've barely been to Africa. From India, I was about to go to India, and I will go soon with the help of Hashem. B'ezrat Hashem, I will come to India, and I think we have a lot of future of India-Israel relations. From Somalia, wow. So Africa is representing. From Poland, where my grandfather is from. All right, great. And I've been to Poland, and I've enjoyed Poland a lot. More from Germany, Munich. And from Shalom, y'all, from Mike Isley from Texas, my good buddy Mike. Shalom to you, Mike. And thank you so much. And Darkus says free Kurdistan. I don't know, he's from Kurdistan, but we have a lot of Kurdish friends. From Ethiopia, more from Africa on the East Coast, standing in solidarity with your beautiful land and people always, a historic classical connection with Ethiopia, and more standing together with Israel from England and Italy. Amazing. Such a what I feel such a schut and a merit from Canada. I have such a merit to be able to connect with everybody around the world and to have you give an opportunity to send your blessings and greetings. A Jew in Uganda says hello, and many more. All right, folks. Thank you very much to my team, to Yocheved and Rafi and Malkah and the rest of the folks that make this show possible. And thank you to Hashem, the God of Israel, who has given us the opportunity to broadcast the message of Israel and the light of Israel from Israel, from Judea to the world. So God bless you, folks, wherever you are. Stay tuned, stay strong, stay connected. Please subscribe. It's an easy way to stay connected. It's free, and it's just an easy way to connect. And of course, be part of the ways that I laid out, which give us strength, which you give us strength. And that's a big schut, a big merit for all of us to be part of giving strength to Israel in this time when there's so many haters. Shalom to Sabino from the Philippines and to all others. God bless you, folks, wherever you are. Lots of love and lots of blessings from the land of blessings. And shalom.